When we change our mindsets, we can change our outcomes. Save our lives from sadness, depression, and anxiety, thus giving us the freedom to live the life we want. Hi, I'm Stuart Haskin, founder of getsafe, and your host of the Movement for Change podcast. Hi, podcasters. Welcome back. I got an incredible guest today, Shaun Randolph. He's a gentleman with dual diagnosis, IDD and ADHD, and he had self-diagnosed because he knew something was different. Let's watch how he empowers himself. Hi, welcome to the Movement for Change podcast. I'm Stuart. I'm back. I'm your host, and I have Shaun Randolph today. Pretty amazing gentleman I get to meet. We're doing these individuals who have dual diagnosis. Shaun, I'll let you talk about your story, but I got to meet with him. He's like a leader in his community. I was super impressed. I've been working with this population and other populations for 30 years, and I really feel like when I saw Shaun, I'm going to glom onto him, and hopefully we can put him in positions of leadership because it was pretty amazing. So welcome, Shaun. How are you today?
I'm actually doing, not too bad today, hanging in there, off day. So, I'm pretty good. How about yourself?
Good. I'm good. It's Monday, right? You were off today.
Yes.
I had to work. So some people say happy Monday, and I go, is there really such thing as a happy Monday? But I was excited to see you today. So I just want to so you work where do you work again? You let the audience know.
I work at Harbor Regional Center in Torrance, California.
How long have you been there?
Today, actually, is my 5th year anniversary.
Oh, really? Oh my gosh,
Yes.
You're spending it with me. I should have sent you a cupcake or something like that. I feel terrible now.
No, that's all right.
That's pretty awesome, though. So do they do anything for 5 years? Like, do they give a gift card or just kind of say, hey, thanks for your service? Or do they even remember?
They do, but they normally do stuff every 6 months. They have like an all-staff meeting. They had one in January, and then they call out the names. So I told my SLS worker that, when that time comes when we have a meeting, I'm definitely going to be putting my ear out because I'm definitely trying to hear my name so I can walk up there and be like, yeah, I did that.
There you go. You deserve that. 5 years is good nowadays. Nowadays, no one wants to work more than 6 months, and then they keep moving jobs. So I think they're very fortunate to have you. So, and I believe you're a facility manager. You set up rooms, you break them down, you do inventory. Is that correct?
Yes. So I'm actually right underneath the manager. I'm a facilities assistant, kind of like the TA for like the facilities department. So I do all those tasks that you mentioned. So when the manager has something that they need done, I'm that guy when it comes to room setups and different things.
So what would they do on a day like this? You weren't there. They have a meeting.
So what I actually preset everything up last week, so they wouldn't have to worry about anything today.
Wow, so, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's a full-time gig? Are you working there full-time?
Yes, Monday through Fridays, 8:30 to 5.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes.
And do you drive, or do you? What's the transportation thing in your life?
My vehicle's right outside.
Oh, really? Keep an eye on it. I never know. I always look at mine, make sure it stays there. But how long have you been driving it? Just since what age did you start driving at?
License-wise, I actually got my license back in February 20th of 2017. So about 7 years.
7 years, yeah, that's good. All right. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, you never know, because nowadays, a lot of people aren't interested in cars because they'd rather just take Uber everywhere. It saves money on insurance and gas. So I never know. So I ask people, are they driving? But yeah, we were talking, and if you want to explain, you have a dual diagnosis, and that's kind of our push for the month, and talking about individuals and how they deal and cope. And I was really fascinated how you kind of self-analyze yourself a little bit, and maybe you can share with the audience how that whole cool story.
So I do it a lot. So what I have is diagnosed with, when I was diagnosed, it was known as Asperger's syndrome back in 2010, but it's Autism Spectrum Disorder. And then I also have it, or it's comorbid with ADHD. So those are pretty much two opposing forces that I like to say is more like a contradiction autism is more of a structure. To me, it has its sense of not being structured all the time, but it's more structure based than ADHD. And so there's a lot of factors such as uh, I noticed that within myself, everything with rules and regulations and doing things like it's got to be by the books. That's the autism part of me, likes to be very quiet to myself, and then the ADHD part likes the novel experiences, more risk taking,
Hmm.
uh, just experiences to where more newness. The autism part of me likes doing everything the same all the time. It's got to be the same way. Um,
So I see your push pull thing that you got going, right? One side says go, and the other one says relax. What? Give us a couple things that you like to do on the ADHD side. You said that's more risk taking, correct?
yes. So my risks are more. Uh, my risks are more in a social. It's more in a social setting. Socializing isn't normally, despite my capacity to talk, it's not normally uh, my strong suit for long periods of time. But the way I grew up, I've kind of forced myself, or have been forced to be in situations where socializing. So I'll put myself out there in more outside experiences around people, whether that's walking more in public or playing the drums in a more public setting. I have a djembe drum that's in my room right now.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I've played for a few years. It's a big hourglass shaped African drum. I've even played it at work just to do
Oh,
something
nice.
different. It's just anything to me. It's anything that goes against what I normally do. So
And how does it feel? Do you get an anxiety, or do you feel happy? Or one minute you're happy by doing that, and the next minute you're anxious because you're going against the other side? I mean, it seems like a tough thing.
it's a it's a constant day to day. It's kind of a constant day to day. So each scenario plays itself out really differently depending on who I'm around.
Yeah.
Depends on the receptiveness of what's going on. Um, and so sometimes it even takes time for me to warm up, so that once I feel warmed up, I go from one to another. But if
Yeah.
the environment is not as welcoming, I'll go from warmed up to cold. So
Mm.
those are like the extremes. I'm always mentally in an extreme. It's really the environment really sets the tone for how I am or what mode. If it's not as comfortable, or if I feel like the people aren't uh, more my type, or it's
Yeah.
just who I am is not the best, then they're going to get more of a restricted, uh, less risk taking. They're going to get the autism me that's more like, it's just who,
Yeah.
and that's my core self. But the me that's able to, when I am, uh, it's like being around a group of people that there's the group that you can really open yourself up to, and then there's the ones that you just, you kind of keep certain things uh, limited. And so I realize I'm like other people when it comes to stuff, but it's
Yeah.
more, everything with me is more to the extremes. Um,
Well, it's funny because I kind of feel like that's me. I mean, that sounds wacky, but I always look at myself as an introvert living in an extroverted world. So there's a thing called ambivert. So I'm like that blended person. So if I'm in a room with, like you said, people I enjoy, I'm fun, I smile. If there's people I don't connect with, I kind of withdraw. And then there's times when I just want to be on my own, right? If I speak at a conference and talk to 150 people, I want to go back to my room and relax after that. I spent all my extroverted energy. Now I want to just sit back and relax. But it's interesting because it sounds, I mean, I think there's probably a little more push pull for you because you're kind of fighting, something maybe when you're, I mean, but if you're in a, like, I haven't experienced the walled off person yet because I feel like you're just super congenial and easy to speak to, which I really like. Um, but how does that, like, how do you know, like, if you're like in a room, do you get tired even if you're around friends or people that you're connecting with? Do you get to the point where, okay, my autism's taking over and wants me to go home?
it takes about 1 hour before I get tired of friends, or like just not tired of them, but more like
Yeah.
I'm just tired of socializing and I'm done.
Yeah.
But if I feel trapped in that environment, I'll still keep talking, but
Okay.
it's I've already hit my social capacity for
Yeah.
the time period. So even with certain friends, I normally have let them know it's normally about 30 minutes to an hour, and I gotta go, or I'm just mentally starting to check out because
Yeah.
sometimes too much information overwhelms me from certain conversations that people have
Right.
that I absorb. So
Yeah, which I mean that makes sense. I mean, I think I mean you see that in individuals. So for the Asperger side, right? Well, for the sake of that, but that's like a lot of times it affects your social ability, right? Your social interactions, and but I've only noticed with you that you listen, you wait for the beat, and then you speak. Is that a learned thing that you have, or you've just always been that way?
uh, so my mom had ended up having me. She kind of ended up putting me through. I wouldn't say a form of training, but uh, I do. I don't know. I've kind of always through the training, yeah, in high school and stuff. I've went through, let's say, interviews. She brought me through interview training.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I've learned how to. I've really learned how to interact
Yeah.
in interviews, and or what they say, fake it till you make it, or just
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
make your
Yeah.
way through it.
Exactly.
So
Now did she know? But I think he had mentioned in our pre-interview that she didn't really know about any diagnosis. Did you think you were just really shy and trying to help you?
uh, well, my mom, she didn't know. Well, she thought I was a difficult kid,
Right.
and kind of hard headed. So she didn't know, and we butted heads from it. But she didn't know until I was 16. Um, but she knew that I was ADHD since I was 8. But it took another 8 years, and I self-diagnosed myself with something related to autism 3 years before they actually diagnosed me legally with
Wow.
the Asperger's, because I saw traits in myself that my younger brother had, and it just made sense, and I was able to see it, and I called it out to myself, and you know, uh, it happened.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's super amazing. We're gonna hold right there. We're gonna take a quick break for our service announcement, and then we'll come right back. Okay? Don't go anywhere.
Everybody has the right to be safe.
At GetSafe, we believe in 4 keys of leadership: empathy, integrity, inclusion, and community. That last piece, the community, is essential for us here at GetSafe. We believe in taking care of the community. If we care for something, nurture it, we become part of its growth. GetSafe is an agency that empowers a wide variety of groups, clubs, agencies, workplaces, all that make up our community that we are proud of. When we change our community mindset, we can positively change our outcomes towards a safer future with one another.
All right, welcome back. I'm with Shaun. He was right in the middle of telling me how he was kind of self-diagnosing. He saw traits in his brother. I'll let him go from there because that's, to me, pretty amazing, especially for a 16-year-old. I mean, I think, you were saying a difficult kid. I'm just thinking isn't that all teenage boys and girls, So, but I don't know. You saw something, so I'm anxious to hear.
So when I self-diagnosed, yeah, I self-diagnosed when I was in 7th grade, when I was
Oh, geez.
13. So,
Wow. That's crazy.
but I wasn't diagnosed until I was 16. So, but I had saw the traits. My younger brother came through the system. He had injured himself, but there was certain traits and how he had responded to stress.
Mm.
And I had saw, and it was this. It was this. He had fell during this time. He had fell. He had hurt his tooth, and we was driving back home. And I was
Yeah.
looking at him, and I just looked and saw how he was interacting. I just read him, and I was like, me and him, we kind of he acts like me, or I feel like I can relate to him
Right,
strongly,
right.
and so me picked up on it. And I said I wouldn't be surprised. I think I got something like him, and I told myself that mentally, but I didn't tell my mom that or anything like that
Right.
until things kept getting difficult between us, and she had gotten me tested uh, in a group type of environment, I guess, and then that's when they had determined that I actually had Asperger's back in April 8th or so, like 2010.
So where did they test you at? So your mom actually said, okay, let's try and get testing, right? She didn't dismiss you because culturally you always see things, right? You were telling me before that sometimes it's, people shy away from help because it's nothing they want to promote in their kid. Is that something that happened with you?
Yeah, I mean, she didn't. So my brother. So it was interesting. So when my brother came around, younger brother, he already was diagnosed with autism. So when it came to me, it was more or less like, why does he keep doing certain things? And I guess that was the thought process that she seemed to have. She didn't understand my way of thinking, that, or I believe she was treating me to some extent like an adult. And there was not a sense of understanding. So we kind of had a tumultuous relationship. But the time that I was diagnosed, we actually had it was kind of like an intervention. They had all my family and a person from ChildNet come over, or a therapist of some sort, and she came over, and my whole family would do group talkings with me about the stuff that I was doing, either right or wrong, mostly wrong. But when the therapist ended up hearing my side, or just what I was struggling with, she ended up making her analysis. And then I overheard it once while I was in the room once. My mom had told my sister that they had gotten the results from a diagnosis and that I had Asperger's. And then I heard one of my other sisters say, "Oh, that's why he acts like that." So,
and it's good. I mean, it sounds like your family was more welcoming, because a lot of times there's shame in these diagnoses, but it was just, and I always look at it's no fault of the parents, because they didn't get a handbook on these things that, these different behaviors that might be happening. And it's always nice, right, when there's a label on it a little bit, because I feel like now people kind of understand, and especially if they're willing to work with you. How is your relationship with your sisters? Is it good, or it takes work, or?
So my childhood was very different. So if we want honesty, my childhood was not it was not a place. I would say right now it's a healing one. I'm in a place of healing from traumatic experiences due to my experiences with my sisters, and my sisters and my mom.
Yeah.
So right now that's where I'm at. And I would say it's a slow process. But childhood was different.
Yeah, and when you say different, and I've been around the block a few times in this world, and just working with individuals all over, it's difficult means sometimes hard, right? And you're trying to heal through it, which is great. You're open to healing. Is it a mutual thing? Are you having opportunities to speak to your sister or your mom about things that you felt was hurtful in your past? I mean, are you able to do that, or are you kind of healing yourself before you can have those conversations? And don't answer anything you don't want to answer, by the way. So you can always say next question.
Oh, it's fine. I mean, I've learned to, sometimes I believe that in order to get pain out, you have to be able to address some of the things.
Yes,
and I posted something on Instagram, and my mom and I don't currently talk due to me putting out certain things that had happened as a child, because I hadn't had we just never talked. But I was always trying to bring up the younger kids for almost 5 years, so that they could see a good role model for how not to be, and how to, mom's getting older, so try to respect her and try to, but at the same time, I became a little envious, because of course she learned how to be better with the way she treated individuals, but we haven't talked in about a couple months. But I've been always in a position to where I've had to either do stuff myself, or I've had to heal by myself.
Well, I applaud it, right? And yes, and I think it's different world for me. I'm an old dude, right? People post a lot of their feelings out there. You're more of the younger generation, where you guys, that's kind of a normal thing, right? I see things that people are going, and they're posting how they feel or things that had happened. So I understand kind of both sides a little bit, but it's, I agree with you about getting things out. So are you in a support group, or do you have some good friends or a therapist or anything like that is helping you get this stuff out so you can really kind of start healing?
No. So I've actually, despite my demeanor, a lot of things that have happened, and it took an Instagram video of another autistic man talking about his experiences growing up for me to even post what I had posted, but it made me realize that I've been trying to play my own therapist for years, and I think that's what's got me very interested to some aspects in some aspects of psychology, or just understanding behavior, or at least how, trying to understand why people do the things they do, so then it can give me a better understanding of that's what's tried to help me understand maybe where my moms came from, maybe where my sisters came from, because they never really gave me any answers. And for me, the autism in me, I need to know why. For everything that happens in my life, I need to know why. And a lot of people aren't going to have those answers, or it's going to get very irritating to have all these why questions. So I've always been in a place to where, I've tried to be my own therapist to some extent. Now, whether that's fully successful or not, it has its days. I believe that I've been doing this for about a few years of just studying darker traits that I've taken up from absorbed from other people around me, and ways that I can try to counteract that, to try to find who I really was, that was repressed beneath all the other things that I probably took on from other people. When you grow up, you're influenced by a lot of people. So learning who you are has been my core concept or focus.
Yeah, and I think, I think it's good that you're self-aware and you're self-motivated to start healing. I also see peer counseling in your future, so you can work with other individuals that, because you understand that. But I also feel like, and if you ever need that help, we'll check, because getsafe offers, we find services and things like that, and I have favors out there. But if you ever want to chat with someone too, just to reflect and bounce off, sometimes it's good to get response back. That talking to that person in the mirror, sometimes you see them all the time, right? And they give you kind of different answers. And I think you're very, very smart, and you'll see reasons and why in different things. But so those are the things that I see. I think you would be awesome working with individuals, who are struggling and not sure, and because you have such life experience. And that's why we were super happy to have you as a guest, because of that life experience that you work with. But yeah, no, it's interesting. I think we all kind of do that, right? We self-struggle internally. And sometimes we don't get it out, and it's sometimes better. You got to find the right audience, right? You got to find the right person that you feel comfortable talking with them. They're not trying to fix you. They're just trying to listen and understand what you're going through. And it takes the right chemistry for sure, I think.
Yes. It also takes as well, it just takes being around people. And I believe, being able to take on a sense of responsibility and being able to help others. By helping others, I've learned that I'm able to see more traits in myself by seeing it in somebody else. It's hard to kind of see it. They might call it a lithosthemia, or I might be butchering the word, but it's the inability to kind of process my own self or emotional state. So when I see somebody else going through something, then I'm like, oh, I do that. And so it allows me to work with, by helping others, it allows me to see it more in myself. And then that's when I'm able to work on, it's like comparison. Yeah.
I just think self-awareness that's one of my biggest pet peeves, when people aren't self-aware. Like, I know when I'm messing up. I know when I'm grumpy. I know most of the time. Not always, but I know when there's something happening with me. And a lot of people don't realize that they're doing something, or that behavior. And I like the fact that you're self-aware and you see that. I see it in people. It's like, oh, that's what I was doing. I need to fix that. I have a buddy who's just the happiest guy in the world. I go, I'm going to grab some of that from him. It's like, everything is great. Everything is awesome. And I go, I want to get a little of that energy from you. And so those are the things we can pull for sure. Yeah. So very interesting. I think, I love your path. I really hope you stay in contact with me. I don't know if you have my info, but I'll get it to you for sure. But yeah, I just think, I wish more people were like you, self-aware and trying to get better. And we all need to, right? We all can be better versions of ourselves. And I think that's what the path you're on. And it's pretty awesome. Any thoughts or in closing at all for us, or me, or
Yeah, I think this actually created a great segue for a part of the point that I want people to know, or at least the point. I believe that uh, because I may not understand what my mom may have done, but she helped me kind of in her own way. It's allowed me to become more of like a bridge between uh, the world of disability and what they call neurotypical world. And
Right.
because I fluctuate in between, because if you have a regular conversation with me, you wouldn't be able to tell. And so
Right.
you wouldn't, the traits wouldn't. So, but at the same time, I'm able to understand why somebody with something may or may not, because of the fact that that's what I struggle. That's what goes on in my head. So
Yeah.
I strongly believe that I believe that I love helping people. I think
Yeah.
that's serves me, or my ability to help others who are unable to identify traits within themselves become
Yeah.
able to, so that they can get more of the help that they need, so
Well,
they'll
I'm
feel more
definitely
understood.
throwing your name out to the head of Harbor Regional Center. Let them know they have a great peer advocate in front of them. So, but I will do that for sure. That's a promise. But all right, well, I hope to have you back, really, because I think we're just getting warmed up, but our camera is going to overheat, I guess. So, so anyway.
No problem.
All right. All right. Well, thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for listening. The Movement for Change podcast. I have Shaun Randolph here. And thank you, sir. Really appreciate your time.
All right, you too. Thank you. Have a great day.
Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you for tuning in to our podcast, Movement for Change. We hope that our discussion has left you with new perspectives and insights that can help you change mindsets and save lives. Please visit us at getsafeusa.com for resources, trainings, and if there's a topic you want to hear about or you have questions, please email us at info@getsafeusa.com. Together, we can make the change we want to see.